Now let's go over Mongostat. Now Mongostat was named after IOstat, again from the Unix world, and in the Windows world is a perfmon program that you can play with that does these things at the system level. And again, all this performance stuff, certainly in a large running system, you probably have a dedicated database administrator or DevOps person that's going to be worrying about this stuff. But as a developer, I always like to be able to just take a quick look at things, work on the small problems, if not the big ones, just so I make sure that my code isn't the problem. So Mongostat is going to give us a bunch of more system-y level information, and I'm going to show you that real fast. Now it's going to be a little hard to show it on the screen because the fonts are set very large. This is wrapped, so bear with me. But it's showing you a bunch of information about how many queries there are per second, updates per second, and flushes per second. The one that most people are most interested in or find most interesting about this report is this IDX miss percentage. All right? And IDX miss percentage, this is actually the miss rate to the index in memory. So it isn't whether or not you're using an index, it's whether or not when an index is accessed, whether or not it hits memory or not, or it has to go to disk. Because as we discussed earlier, having your index in memory is going to be critical in terms of performance in Mongo. So if you can't get your index into memory, then you're going to have a big problem. So this is telling you whether your index is in memory. And a lot of folks will look at this to figure out whether or not they're getting good performance at a high level. But you have to be a little bit careful about this because, let me show you, in the case where we had these two programs, right? perfmon.students.py, which was missing the right indexes. This thing is dirt slow. And we'll run Mongostat, and let me show you this here. It says LockDB index miss percentage right here. This is the second line. This is a 0. We're not missing the index. Like, whoa, we're not missing the index. That doesn't make any sense. And the reason we're not missing the index, of course, is it's true, is that this program is not using an index. This program is just scanning the collection over and over again. So we're not missing an index. All right? So Mongostat, which is very interesting in large running systems because usually you will run out of memory for your indexes, but this program doesn't even use an index, so therefore this doesn't tell you anything interesting. What's more interesting, of course, is that there were slow queries and that all the time in the database was spent in that one collection. Now let's run the other program, which we know performs well, and see what it tells us. That's flying by. Now let's run Mongostat there and see what it says. And here, again, it's wrapped, but this is the line right here. It says that we're not, IDX miss, we are not missing the index. Like, I don't understand. How can you not be missing the index? Well, the reason is this program is not missing the index. This program has an index that is, we learned how to get the index size. It's probably, I think it's a gig or two. You can look at the activity monitor to see how big Mongo is right now. Let's do that. It says it's 2.85 gigs. And Mongostat will also tell you that. See, Mongostat tells you that there's 2.85 gigs of data resident. And this is a Mac that has 12 gigs of memory. So it's not a problem. So this won't point us to any place where we could improve that program. Now, the reality is I don't know how to improve that program except for do something algorithmically smarter because it is hitting the index every time. But it'll be difficult for me to show you a program that's going to miss the index in my 12 gigabyte machine unless I deliberately create something that's humongous and deliberately going to miss it. If you go on the documentation, you can see some snapshots of large running systems that do miss in their index. But I just wanted to make you aware of this Mongostat command, which can be used at the highest level of your system to look at the overall performance of your Mongo installation.